I'm just putting stuff in. Anyways, T.H.E.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about it. So, as we go, we won't go through the teams, but I want to ask why.
This guy knows what's going on.
I want to ask why the Asia Pro League has come about. What's the origin, where it's come from? Let the viewers know why this is happening right now for the region.
Sure. So, I mean, basically, Asia's been, let's say, sort of left behind the other regions a little bit, and that's down to player base and sort of tournaments and things like that. There's a couple of orgs that have tried to, have tournaments. Rocket League Asia have weekly Saturday tournaments, but that's pretty much been it. We as an org, T.H.E, basically started just to, it's just supposed to be a fun org, just putting players together, because the one thing I realized is that, Asian players tend to not put together the best teams that perhaps they could, like to work on the chemistry and sort of have that balance.
I think that's a general thing in T.H.E. I think many players, the reason why they start in teams is because they enjoy each other's company, but in terms of the skill set and mechanical skill, not all of them really fit, and it really comes down to a point of having some actual tournaments that pushes these guys to the limit to go, hey, actually, we don't work. I want to go try out with this team. I want to do something slightly different. And that sort of, it gets you a little bit of instability, really, for a season or two. But what happens is it starts to really build some great teams in the region that can challenge and have some rivalry.
Exactly, and that's what we tried to do. I saw all these great players and like really good guys. We have a really good community in Asia, and the guys are. I didn't see anything different between them, for example, and OCE, and let's say maybe lower tier NA. And things like that. And I thought, we started sponsoring some tournaments, like RLA, we started sponsoring RLA, just giving them the funds to put in bigger prize pools, make it a little bit more appealing for people to sort of play in that. But what then tended to happen, and, this is purely down to our player base being a lot smaller than most regions, is that we had two teams essentially. Let's say the T.H.E teams, of which there are three, plus Alu, which is the fourth team, they were basically the only teams. They were dominating every RLA for the past 5 or 6 RLAs.
And you had a point where you had Japanese teams that were fantastic in their own region. They got this service which benefited them. But the region was so isolated, with China being not able to connect or even be a region to be able to play. Japan were almost forced with themselves to either go across the sea over to America to play on service with 180, 200 ping, or come down and play the mainland. Where, let's be honest, they absolutely spanked everyone and continue to spank everyone, because their infrastructure and the guys over there are crazy. I don't know, they're breeding absolute animals over there in terms of godlike freak players. We can touch on that in a minute, but let's go to the point of touching on the T.H.E prize pool and what it's set out for league play. Talk us through it, T.H.E.
All right, so we've got, in total, we have a $2,000 prize pool for this tournament, which is about, I think, 20 times higher than any prize pool that's been in any Asian tournaments, as far as I know. And the whole idea of it is to not only reward the top teams, but also for the teams that have sort of, been participating for a long time. So we split it up. We have a $500 split for the league play, which is the first 7 weeks. And then the main prize, which is $1,500, split between the 4 top teams on placement there. So, we came up with the number. It started off as 500, and then it was, if we want to do it over these amount of weeks, we really need to make it worth it. And you want to get the top guys to come and play. And, the only way to do that is to really incentivize them. So this is by far the biggest prize pool we've ever done, and we hope that with all the effort that's going into it, that, it will be a proper showcase for what Asia is about and what it can do.
Shout out to all the followers as well, guys. We'll keep that coming, and everyone's there. Look, anyone out there who wants to know a little bit more about the T.H.E Pro League and how it works, how you want to be become involved or even just sort of watch, hit us up with questions in chat. T.H.E will be happy to answer them, and happy to answer them in the next 5 minutes as well. We're going to run through the teams. I love the fact that the finals prize pool sits $750 for the top. It's actually a really good payout and a payday. A real important thing to note here, T.H.E, there's no live finals. The first season here will be all online.
That's right. We have partnered with Spout 360. So we hope from season 2 we'll be able to have land. It's a bit different than all the other regions. We have about 40 countries in our 2 regions. So first season just not possible to do that.
Okay, so I'm going to run through these teams as I've got them in the list. The first one we're going to be talking about is Al-Lu, Jared Adine, Xenex, and Azeri. Talk me through the guys.
Right, so this is a new team, basically all PlayStation players. I think they've all swapped within the last 6 weeks. They've all come over to PC. But they're really high flyers. Gerald Naden, as you may know, he won the RLA LAN. He's arguably the best 1v1 player in mainland, and one of the few that can take it to the likes of Realized, Moto, Anu-chan, and these type of guys. Zink's, newer to the scene, I would say, and Azri's been on the scene for a very long time. They struggle a little bit without boost. They're a team that relies very heavily on boost. Generally in Asia, the PlayStation players seem to fly a lot more than you would expect. So, it's going to be interesting. They've scrimmed the Japanese a couple of times. They've suffered some heavy losses, but at the same time, they won the Perth Rocket League last night.
Yeah, so that's what I was about to say. Like, we've had a couple of teams playing the Perth Rocket League for the last 3 weeks since we've sort of made it that we're going to try and suit Asia. And it's probably the best thing that a lot of people are not aware of. There is actually certain servers Asia can come and play on in OCE. There's 2 types that OCE gets. One type is actually playable for Asia, the other type is not. And T.H.E in the months of just expanding and wanting to verse different teams, you realise that you can actually verse some OCE teams. And then we brought Asia into Perth Rocket League. So they've been playing for 3 weeks. This is actually the first time we have a look at them in Perth Rocket League, and they actually go to the end and take the finals. So really interesting to see that, they can step into the scene and be really... sort of actually can get a really good challenge and actually win stuff here as well. Although it's not the best teams that come in that tournament, it's actually a good start because you start to get an idea of how OCE plays, and then if you want to play them later, or we go into a cross-network competition where OCE plays Asia, the mainland, and then Japan, if the servers can suit, it's going to be really exciting. And that's probably the other exciting thing is one thing we know is Singapore now have servers, which means if you live in Perth or somewhere along the lines of the West, you get the same ping from Perth to Sydney, from Perth to Singapore. So an Australian team can actually play on a Singapore server and actually play properly, and a Japanese team can get the same latency from where they are. So we can actually now connect with Japan. Exactly. And, it's tough for us to play on those servers, but we're getting used to it. We get 150 ping, but... it's, Alu as a team, because they're Singapore based, they only get, I think, 90 to 100 ping. So for them, it makes it, and it's a good experience. First time they entered, and as a team, they are really good. They do tend to overcommit. The Judge is a new team, Byzarl. It's going to take them a while. I would expect them to really come into their own, like week 5 or 6, of the tournament. It's going to maybe be a little bit of a shock for them initially. Yep. But they're really, really mechanically gifted players. Let's keep moving. We don't want to take too much time up. The guys want to play as well a little bit after. Apricot Candy. This is an interesting team, and this is the team I think, even though it says Japan Third Seed, I think it's a team that can do a lot of damage. Dore, 52X, Nunky, and Bozo Hook. These names just sort of ring true to my ears and just speak an absolute... Just carnage. Exactly. They'd leave carnage wherever they go. They're more than likely to destroy most of the teams in this competition. So we played against them on Monday. Actually, we had a best of 7 scrim against them, and it's I was really surprised by. We know Dore obviously very well. Bozo Hook we know well from the RLA scene as well. They were
they used to just enter teams and just destroy everybody, like you say. Dore being the main attacker in that team, and Nunki is just an absolute beast on defense. Probably I would rate him right up there with the likes of Namoto in terms of defense. I was really impressed playing against him. There were shots, you put him top corner, Nunki's there. And it's, Bozo Hook, he's a little bit hit and miss for this team so far.
Yep. It
is also a new team. So it's, this will be the first tournament that they will play together as a full team. And, so I think if Bozo Hook has a good game and it's a good series, then they should be right up there with the top team.
I think a lot of pressure will probably be taken off Nonki and Bozo Hook a little bit, with Dore sort of attracting and sort of taking the play to his own hand. Because the thing about Dore is he controls that ball in his own vicinity. He never really just looks to give it away or get rid of the ball just for the sake of it. He'll control. Even if he's got no boost, he'll still use it to his advantage. He's a player that's really clever with it, and it's going to take a lot of pressure off Bozo Hook and Nunki to actually play their type of game and style, which is defensive and a really quick player for Bozo Hook. And one thing I know from him is he loves to fly as well. So you got two aerial godlike people looking to do some crazy stuff.
And they link up all the time. That's the thing. They find each other everywhere. Every touch seems to go to each other between Bozo Hook and Dore. So look for them to really be performing on attack.
Next team coming up is the Asia Mainland first-seeded team, Misty, Gone Freaks, and Jackstar. Interesting lineups, T.H.E. I noticed Jackstar says Scotland, but where is he living at the moment?
He lives in Hong Kong. So this weekend they'll be playing with Stompers instead of Jackstar, because Jackstar he's only returning from the UK tonight. But this was the team, just to give a little bit of background, this was the team that was put together to challenge the Japs when they were destroying mainland teams. This was the team that we basically got together and said, guys, someone needs to beat these guys. And they're also the only mainland team that in a tournament has reset the bracket against Glory Stone. So they're the only ones that have done that against the Japanese team.
Yep.
So Misty, super fast, really fast player. He's sort of the free roaming one. Gone Freaks, insane redirects. He will put them in from any angle. And Jackstar / Stompers, he just does the weirdest redirect shots. It's and Jackstar and Stompers, more your defensive players, your third rotation. Just shoring up the back.
I think we're going to see a lot of solid gameplay from this, guys. A lot of highlight montage for him. It is the question is they are number one. There is pressure that comes along with that. A lot of the mainland's going to be watching them, and hopefully they lap that up and really take it on board. Enjoyable stuff. Guys, we're working for the teams right now here for the T.H.E Pro League. T.H.E sitting with me as well. One of the actual players of teams as well, which is the next one we're going to talk about. An interesting name, T.H.E. Asia Mainland's second number seed, the Dwarf Lickers, T.H.E, Squirrel, and Revoir.
Yeah, so obviously we can all see the flaw in that team, being myself. But it's interesting. Basically, the team. Just quick background, Byzarl. We used to have a team called Gravity, which was Squirrel, Revoir, and Gone Freaks. With school exams and that, they disbanded. And essentially, myself and Squirrel just started playing together in RLAs for fun, just like with random thirds. And then with Revoir, when he was available, and all of a sudden we started winning tournaments, we started finishing second, like beating the Japanese, and it was, oh, well, all right, as long as we keep it for fun, and just have a really good time. We're not expecting much, but we usually seem to do pretty well.
With the I like what I see from Revoir and Squirrel. When they link up and play, it's fantastic. One thing I noticed about you, T.H.E, and I don't know if you can take criticism right now, but
sure,
you defensively, you're really sound. You look to read players, which I really like. So you're forever adapting to the play style and the play game. That's going to be interesting to see how the other two's working with you. But from what I've seen some games for the Dwarf Lickers, that note always puts me on a tilt level. But I think you guys are going to do some damage as well. and definitely won't be an easy beat. Fantastic stuff. Thank you to everyone following at the moment. I know I'd love to read them out, but we'll continue through these lineups. Speaking of a damaging lineup, this is the one that everyone needs to look out for. The Japanese second seed Glory Stone. Shalom, Kunra, and T.H.E. Now, T.H.E, correct me wrong if I'm not, because I haven't seen that name before.
T.H.E. Or T.H.E. Yeah, T.H.E, whatever. They all, yeah. I've just called them T.H.E forever. Yeah, the Glory Stone, look, only team really to challenge RTS in the last month or so, 2 months. Generally, they're the ones, they actually beat RTS in July in the Japanese tournament. Yep. And then RTS came back the next tournament and just soundly destroyed them, essentially. But they can do it, and really just a good, solid team. As a team, they are a really good unit. They play really well together. Their passing plays are, in my opinion, better than RTS. They don't rely on that solo play as much as RTS does. They're just a very good, solid team.
A real threat to the tournament, I think. T.H.E, they're not the first seed. There is pressure that associates with them going high up in the pecking order. There's a spotlight on them, but they've got nothing to lose here. There's other players that are considered top end, high. Players that could potentially go over to America and make something of themselves. And these guys can definitely play with them and show them that it's not going to be an easy game. So really excited to see what these three can pull through. I want to see what T.H.E or Ten. He will correct me saying that wrong, but I want to see what he can produce, because he's an unknown quantity to me. So it's really exciting to see how he performs with Kunra and Shalom, which are proven players in the Glory Stone team. Let's go to the team that we've been talking about that dominates everything. The first seed in Japan, and they have been dominating not just for a couple months, but for over years, T.H.E. Since Japan has come in and playing Rocket League, these three are unstoppable.
So RTS is, this is the benchmark for any Asian team. They don't, like you say, they don't just win games 2-0. They have no break. I remember our very first Freeze tournament with Troubles, who's in chat. We made it to the final, and they just absolutely ripped us a new one. They have the record in the RLA of beating a team. I think it's 19-0.
19-0.
And that was the second seed team, or the top Asian mainland team at that stage.
This guy.
They are, we've learned to play with them now, because when you play them the first time, it is just too much. 17-0 Trouble says. It's still a proper hiding. They can do the solo plays. They don't seem to need to defend, because they just don't attack the whole time. So when you play RTS, make sure to play with no boost and basically just defend your net.
It's interesting is you find out so much more about yourself as a Rocket League player when you don't have boost. That's the key thing in any pro tournament is you realise that there'll be positions and times. I think I was watching Kronovi on a stream. I don't know, it was one of the majors, maybe Face It or X Games somewhere. He was running around the field for 2 minutes without boost. The team's strategy was to boost after him. He still blocked. He still double jump. He even assisted in the goal and scored a goal with no boost. And that's mechanics that you'll really get tested and you'll really find out. This team
knows what's going on.
It's going to be a team where they actually make the others be tested along those lines. So I think probably the number one worry and concern for many of the other teams is Realize. He's the one who does some crazy things through the air, especially off the roof.
So the thing is, Realize took a little bit of a break, Byzarl, and it's since he's been back, I think it was just after they played the World Cup thereabouts, and he whiffs a lot more, and it's actually working to their advantage. Strangely enough, the tournaments I've watched, because when you see Realize going for the ball, you expect him to get everything. He's he stopped playing competitive a bit, concentrated more on his freestyling, and please go check out his YouTube channel. He's a Pulse member. Realize is amazing, but it's I think if you ask most of the players, probably Lemonade Lime is the unsung hero of that team. You know, he's realizes the one that grabs the headlines, but when you play against them, Lemonade Lime or Anuchan is, you know, probably, in my opinion, the best player on that team and in Asia in general.
He is a workhorse. From what I see from Lemonade Lime, he doesn't necessarily want to lap up the attention. He just works hard at making the 50-50 to the contest, the blocks as well. And when he needs to chime in with some goals, he's there. Namoto, where's he fit into this picture?
So Namoto's he's just a really solid third man. And, you know, he's the one, look at him. RTS specialize in basically free-man passing plays, essentially. You know, Namoto is the one that starts that all off. And, you know, so I would say Namoto is the one usually you would see on the last rotation. And, you know, let's bear in mind this is the Japanese World Cup team. This is the one that took down Australia. And, you know, they're a good team. They've been playing together forever. Namoto replaced Lee Reyes, who was the original, I think, captain of RTS.
Yep.
And who's making, you know, I saw 2 days ago, he's making a comeback, you know, so it's exciting times for RTS.
Well, it sounds like from a T.H.E that they've had a little bit of a downtime, a little bit of a downturn. They've had a couple of tournaments to come back in and find a little bit of a mojo.
Yep.
I honestly think when it comes game day, they switch on. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how whether they come into with this momentum or not. The fact is, these three players are amazing. They're on top of their game whenever they want to play, and when they switch on, it's going to be amazing. These guys are a real threat and the favourites to take out the competition. We'll leave it at that. For sure. We'll take into the next one. The team when I'm a little bit. I don't know who these guys are. It's Tom Chan. And I don't know, correct me wrong with these names. So I believe it's Spider, Serpent, and Hagu Yazi.
Yeah, good luck. That's as close as you're going to get with that one. Yeah, it's so Spider is Spider really good solid player. You know, it's I was speaking to Cocken, the Japanese caster, earlier. Spider's team is like he calls them the baby glory stone or the little glory stone.
Yeah,
you know, they are growing as a team. You know, it's probably no fancy, super amazing plays. You know, it's just really good, solid team mechanics. They play in what we know as the Japanese way, which is a very team-orientated passing game. Look at Spider to make some amazing defensive plays. He is really a brick wall when he's
defensive
back.
Man.
Yeah, and Serpent and Haguyazi, really, they, again, same as Glory Stone, very good passers. You know, don't expect a lot of ceiling shots, these type of things, just very good 1-2 passes and, you know, great defense.
Well, it's not much I can talk about in terms of what I've seen or anything like that. So, and on a quality that we're going to have to see in these games, some stiff competition for him to play through. So defensive's going to be real key. Spider will be put under the microscope.
Yep.
I love thinking on the spot.
Spider will be the leader, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
Spider will be the one for that team.
I'm really looking forward to see how these boys go, which leaves us with the final team, Toxicity, the third seed Asian mainland team. Troubles, Mice, and ALS, or ALS as we call it. Yep. Now, as far as I'm concerned, ALS doesn't play competitively. He's an admin.
Well, ALS is an admin for RLA, but he was also once the best player in Asia total. So, you know, he stopped playing competitive, I think, after season 2. And, you know, ALS was, and still is, one of the top 1v1 players. He's probably taken a bit of a dip now. But basically, ALS was brought into this team just to bring a bit of, you know, calmness, I would say, to it. He's he likes to play slow. He's very calculated in his touches. He's very accurate. And he confuses everybody, including his own team. You know, Mice being a keyboard and mouse player, you know, he does some amazing things, and he's probably the most attacking player on this roster, and he will be responsible for most of their goals. Unfortunately, he will also be probably responsible for most of the goals conceded because he is a little bit inconsistent.
A risk player. You take the risk for the award, and it's probably not I would say, a well calculated. It's more of a sort of an impression risk. So he would just...
Exactly.
He goes up. He's like, I've got a 50-50 chance here, or I've got a slight chance. I'm just going to give it a crack, see what happens. But then that could come off really bad and be scored on. So
exactly. And Troubles being Troubles, basically, he usually steps up in the tournaments, and I've won quite a couple of tournaments with him. He's a really good, solid defensive player. He does have the occasional brain fart, and if he can limit those and sort of keep his team together, because he is also the captain of this team. Toxicity is a team that they will either beat us 5-0 or they'll lose 7-0. There's no... They are very up and on their day, they can beat any team. That's sort of... They're very inconsistent, but very good when they are on form.
So looking into this week's games, this is how it's going to pan out. And obviously the times... slightly changing. No, the times are right there, I believe.
Times are right, yeah.
Teams are right. So the Crossbar Kings taking on Aerial Lunatics Esports, which is...
You can call them Alu. Yeah, easier.
Alu for you guys playing at home. Dwarf Lickers taking on Toxicity. Glory Stone taking on Apricot Candy. And the Rule of the Sky taking on Tom Chan. Now, I'm scared for Tom Chan because first week they're going to get tested. They're absolutely going to get tested. It's the same region, so they get the same servers. But
yes,
scary, the first versus fourth, and Tom Chan sort of a mini Glory Stone, as you said. Probably, I don't know, how just from your experience, how do you approach Rule in the Sky when you know that they're number one seed?
So, Rule the Sky, you are not going to beat them at their own game. You are not going to be faster than them. You are not going to be more accurate than them. These guys have thousands of hours above what we have, and most people in the tournament have. And, so the only way that we've seen, Glory Stone's the only one that's matched them speed-wise, because they have a contrasting style to Rule the Sky. But Tom Chan is Spiders on form. If he can make those saves, Rule the Sky, because they're such a high-pressure team, one big clear, and one missed rotation, which does happen quite often with Rule the Sky. It's just that people can't exploit it because they have no boost. The big boosts are all gone when you're playing against Rule the Sky. So, it's if there's one team that can defensively stack up to them, Tom Chan is probably the one. But I just don't know on offense what Tom Chan can do. I don't know how they're going to counter that.
The game of the week, T.H.E, when is it and why?
So for me personally, I'd say probably Glory Stone versus Apricot Candy. I think Dore has a point to prove. Dore is a really nice guy. He's just never sort of found himself in his own top team, apparently in Japan lately. This is his chance to shine. And I think he wants to prove a few points. And, it would be interesting. I would say that would be the closest games. I would expect Rule the Sky to sweep Tom Chan. And I'd expect Crossbar Kings and Dwarf Lickers to be close, but probably go the way of the seeding. So the only one I'd see is a 7-game series, probably Glory Stone, Apricot Candy, and really close games.
Well, essentially, the games are going to be played this Saturday, ladies and gentlemen, GMT +7. So if you are in Perth, it will be 5 p.m. And if you're in Sydney, it will be 7 p.m. tomorrow. Not tomorrow night, Saturday nights. So essentially, if you're not doing anything, make sure you're in a T.H.E Twitch stream, which you can see there on the screen. Fantastic stuff. That will be it in terms of the Asia Pro League for the pre-show. Talking through all of it. And just giving you guys a glimpse of what you're going to practically, or we're not really showing you, but we're talking about it. The reason why I jumped on aboard T.H.E and really want to be a part of this is because I'm genuinely excited about what I see in Asia. It's such a spread community in terms of Rocket League players, and it goes from top to bottom. There's so much talent sitting there and just not getting any recognition, and that's why I'm very, very happy to be a part of this T.H.E.
No, we appreciate that, mate, and that's hopefully the boys can put on a good show. And it's not that we want to be an RLCS right away. We just want to show that although we have a small player base, the teams at the top are teams at the top, and just show what the guys can do.
Any questions out there, guys? If you want to ask T.H.E, ask him now, or you can ask him in chat. Even send him a message. He is open towards it. And if you want to get on board and help out, whether you got anything you can offer, or you're a potential sponsor wanting to touch into the Asia scene, T.H.E definitely welcomes you for a chat. I can't believe I'm talking about talking in lines for you, man. You can say that. T.H.E, you want to plug away, man?
No, guys, just, you can please just come and watch the series. We'll let the gameplay speak for itself. We've got the lovely Byzarl casting it, and it would be great. And hopefully, OCE and ASC Japan can all work a little bit closer in future. We can sync up our tournaments. We are the closest two regions, and I think that will just be better for both regions. If we can keep pushing each other.
I think after this first season, when we get to week number 8 and the finals, it's really going to be eyes on for the world, and OC I reckon they'll be tuning in going, what is right next to us and causing an absolute stir? It's Asia, it's Japan, it's the mainland. It's going to be huge. The T.H.E Asian Pro League starting on Saturday, guys. Thank you to T.H.E for coming in.
Thanks, mate.
We're gonna jump into the 1v1 games. Subs get to play me and put yourselves on a ladder. I don't have anything set up at the moment, guys, but essentially